Well, before this, it was just a banana, and then before that, I had leftover tacos.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I just had meat and beans and tortilla, and then we had some raw onions and some raw tomatoes that were cut up. We put in a little baggie, so I just threw it on top. That's a little. What are you eating right now, buddy? Let's tell the viewers and listeners. Let's explain it though, because if you're not viewing it.
We got so I need this is my third dosing of protein. So it's approximately 40 grams of protein.
Third dosing of Anavar.
Yep. So it's a thirds cup. I just eyeball it, so it's anywhere between 2/3 and 1 cup Greek yogurt. It's like 140 calories for 14 grams of protein. So it's a pretty good bang for your buck.
Wait, you said Greek yogurt too?
Greek yogurt, yeah. So it's
and the protein powder. So how much protein's in there? Like 40 grams?
Yeah, 40 grams. Which is my target. Like my target per meal. But to be honest with you, like some breakfasts, because I eat a lot of eggs. Like eggs fill me up quite a bit because of like the combo of protein and fat.
Yeah.
I have 4 eggs usually. Sometimes I'll have an ounce of ounce of cheese approximately. Once again, I just eyeball it. Everything's like ad libitum, but like I just like create like artificial limits to them, if you will. And then I'll have a piece of fruit or something like that, and then maybe a glass of like warmed up honey water. Like that'll be like a pretty traditional breakfast for me. So like this morning, for example, I had 4 eggs over a kiwi, a bowl of Greek yogurt, and some honey water. So that was 38 grams of protein. So I try to get to 40 for my low, but breakfast sometimes can be a little lower, especially because the milk that we got recently was like not sitting well with me. So I'll do like Greek yogurt instead of milk. But sometimes I would do like 10 ounces of milk, which like I will measure out in like a mason jar, but who knows like how accurate it is. 4 eggs and like an ounce of cheese. So that's 40 grams, and then I'd have like a banana, so it's like 42 grams of protein. That's a pretty common. And then meal number 2 is usually a smoothie. So that'll be 8 ounces of Pure Life? No, what was the name of it? It's like ultra pasteurized, ultra like
Fairlife.
Fairlife, thank you. Chocolate milk, which is like 30 grams of protein per 8 fluid ounces. So I'll do like 8 fluid ounces of chocolate milk, 2/3 of a cup of Greek yogurt. So that gets me to 27 grams of protein. I'll do of muscle milk. They have a protein I've like vetted and is like pretty safe for me from like a food allergen standpoint. That's 25 grams of protein, so that gets me to 52. And then I'll throw in a banana. And sometimes this, my weight's been dropping like quite a bit, like 4 or 5 pounds, from like what it has been like averaging. So I've been adding some like more fats back in. So I'll throw in like a scoop of sun butter. So that'll get me to, that's like about 60 grams of protein. So that'll get me to about 100. So I'll be back like on my protein target, because I try to do like 1 gram per pound of body weight of protein. And then this meal is just an improvised meal, so that we can do the podcast. It's just the 2/3 cup of the whey protein powder. So about 2 tablespoons of sun butter, because it's allergen friendly for me.
Yeah, you know what's crazy is like I've been kind of rocking the same breakfast kind of like you have. I do like some substitutes, but I'll pretty much do like Greek yogurt, like 250 to 300 grams of Greek yogurt, and that's like 25 to 30 grams right there. And then I'll put blueberries on top of it and like cinnamon, and then I'll either switch it out, like I'll have eggs with it, or I'll have turkey bacon with it, or almonds. So either like pretty much a fat protein source. Like I just, it'll either be eggs, turkey, bacon, or almonds. So yeah, it's something that I interchange with, but I've been pretty much doing that for the past like couple weeks, and then like everything else in between is kind of inconsistent. And then at night, I'll pretty much do. I think I said it like maybe two podcasts ago or last podcast, but cottage cheese and pineapple. So everything else in between is kind of different because, different lunches, different if there's leftovers from the night before. Like today, I had some leftover tacos. Love leftover tacos. It's my favorite. But yeah, also too, guys, Chaboy deadlifted 405 pounds with no belt on yesterday. You know what? I was telling Sam, is like if I can only get my squat up at a reasonable weight, I would be a lot happier. But I'm working to it. Doing a hell of a lot of hack squats and then regular squats. But I did the 225 pounds with no belt on. I'm gonna keep doing those pause reps and keep doing some heavy singles with no belt. It just right now with doing no belt and then coming off that shoulder injury. I don't want to keep throwing weight. See, the thing is, like with deadlifts, I've always been great to know where my upper limit is, right? Your your upper limit. Can you hear me okay, Roman? Okay, for upper limit. And so yesterday, so as you guys saw, like last week, I hit 385 for a single, and everything feels great. I mean, like the tightness, my stance, my legs. If you guys don't follow like Martin, what's his last name? Ulysses or Martin?
Oh, Martin's yeah.
Yeah. Just follow him. He just put out like a deadlift video where he kind of teaches you like, the first half is like a deadlift not a deadlift. The first half is like, all like, just leg pressing the weight up. And then the second half's like hip thrusting it. So once you get it above your knees, you just got to squeeze the glutes. And it's felt perfect. Like, 405, it's just nice to feel. But honestly, I didn't even put chalk on at 315. Like I knew right away hitting 315 with no chalk and no belt, that 405 was reasonable yesterday. And I think it's just been doing it for so long, you kind of get that feel. But I think for squats, I'm hoping maybe I'll hit like a heavy single for you guys this weekend and see where I'm at. But if I don't feel like squats, I don't really feel comfortable with like driving too much like power and like strength a lot of times, which I don't know why I don't. When I was lifting with my buddy, I was telling Roman, we were squatting and he's squatting 315 with no belt on for reps. And he goes, 275, Antoine, do it. Like, why aren't you trying this? And then I did it, and I did it for like 2 reps, 3 reps, or whatever it was. And then like, you're just like, well, maybe you could try harder, a lot of the times without like breaking yourself. Like, because obviously I could probably squat more than 275, but see, the thing is with throwing no belt on, I'm so used to like, breathing with a belt on and pushing off the belt. But you know what I've noticed too, Roman? And like I said, I don't try to put the belt on tight. But what I've noticed is I feel like my lower back might be getting stronger because right now, I don't feel a lot of soreness. And I don't know if it's because maybe I push off the belt like a lot and like, wanted to use the belt more than it was for, type deal. But, it's crazy. It's like I don't feel as sore as if I would. But then again, maybe I would touch heavier weight. But see, the thing is, before I got injured, I don't think I did anything higher than 405 on deadlifts, and this is the highest I've gone without a belt on with deadlifts. So.
Yeah, it might be the repeated bout effect too. Just that your body is like starting to get used to the stimulus, so you're not getting, as sore from it. It's like, there's no problem there. It could also be like the belt could be playing a role.
I don't know. Yeah, as I say, like every time, like I felt like my lower back would be just, I don't know. And like I said, I just did those deadlifts yesterday, and maybe tomorrow I'll feel more the aftermath of it, because it'll probably take like 2 days to get the DOMs. But I don't know. I just, like I said, I don't feel on my lower back as much. And it's because I'm putting myself in that full range of motion, and I think I'm getting just better positioning. And like, with my deadlifts, I don't really put my butt so low. So like, I don't really like, I kind of RDL leg press, and then I like squeeze the glutes pretty much. Because what I've noticed is if I start lower, it looks good on paper, but what I'll do is butt will shoot up and then it'll go up. So
Yeah.
I pretty much did with my hand where my wrist went up first and then my whole hand went up. Whereas the deadlift should be, like a one motion like that. So
Yeah. Well, yeah, like that.
yeah, you know what I mean. Uh, but episode 85, Roman, what the heck are we talking about, buddy? I just wanted to blabber until you were finished, so you didn't have to feel obligated on talking in between taking some Greek yogurt in.
Thank you. We're talking about sleep today, folks. How you can use sleep for performance and all that fun jazz.
Yeah, and I think, and I wanted to talk about this too because I've been listening to a lot of Andrew Huberman podcasts, the neuroscientist from Stanford, and like just like the idea around sleep. I just thought there was like so much that you can take out of it, especially for performance, and a lot of ideas you might hear again from our like our older episodes, but like I think it's vital for a lot of people, and I think Roman thinks the same. Like it's definitely vital for your keeping gains, growing gains, and then maintaining gains. Well, keeping and maintaining are the same things pretty much. Yeah, I think just sleep just in general is just so important to that aspect of you being a healthier person, and probably mentally healthier too. I don't know the studies behind it, but I bet the people that are getting constant like 2-3 hours of sleep are probably not doing so hot. And then obviously you maybe should look into that a little bit. But yeah, Roman, do you want to start us off? Like, what's your idea on sleep and performance and all that good stuff?
Yeah, honestly, like so most of what's going to come from me is going to be anecdotal, but hopefully it'll be helpful for folks. So I used to be like the kind of person that's like, you'll sleep when you're dead type dealio. So I would get like 4 or 5 hours of sleep in college, and that was like pretty much my motto. And I remember my sophomore year of college, the first year I was an RA, and we'd had some like sexual assaults and stuff like that, some like really awful stuff happen on campus. So I like thinking I could like save the world and like, protect everyone. I was pretty much like being hyper vigilant. So I would be up at all hours of the night, like checking in on people, especially like if I wanted to make sure like my door was always open type dealio, and people can always like rely on me if they have any questions, they need to get condoms, like whatever type dealio. So I did not sleep very well, and it was very apparent that like my mental health was like pretty poor that year. There were some like other factors too, but I think that sleep was like a great factor behind that. I remember like one of like the turning points, and it's something that like I always think about if this like mentality ever creeps back in, that like, oh, I can do more throughout the day, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm a pretty like I'm almost down to like the minute with like my routines, at least like throughout the day. Like I'm flexible with things, like I can go to the gym in the morning, go to the gym in the afternoon, sometimes I do both, like that kind of thing. But when it comes to like sleep wake stuff, I've gotten it down to like almost, like I said, like within like a couple of minutes. Like there's very few exceptions to that rule, and I'm like a grandpa. Like I'm in bed by 8 and I'm up at the latest by 5. Like sometimes I'll allow myself that little like extra like half hour, but usually I'm up between like 4:30. So that's actually changed like quite a bit recently. I found that like I was usually pretty good with 8 hours, but more recently, like my partner and I will like stay up, watch a show, that type of deal, eat dinner, trying to catch up better days. And the more I creep up to like 9 o'clock, which is like rare for me to do that. That's like very late for me. I'll be woken up by my alarm at 5, which is like, pretty rare for me. Usually I'm up before the alarm. I'll turn the alarm off. I'll go like get my coffee. But like the turning point for me was I was driving back from college my sophomore year, and it was like an hour and a half, 2 hour drive approximately, to like where my mother lived, and so I was going to see family for the weekend. I'd had like a couple of like rough weekends, like what we call like on duty, so you can't leave campus and whatnot. You have to like do rounds at like multiple times throughout the night, and then like if there's any type of like incident on campus, like there's a party like in a room or something and they're like disturbing people, you have to go and break it up and all this stuff. So got very, very poor sleep for a while. Met with my resident instructor and I was like, hey, I'm like really burnt out. I need to go home. Like, can I get like a weekend pass to go home? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. So I was driving home and I just remember being in the passing, and then I just like blacked out, and then I was in like the commuter lane, like right next to me. And that happened like multiple times, and each time it happened I would freak out. I'd be like, what the heck? How long have I been out for? I'd like check the clock, like, okay, probably just seconds, but still like scary because I didn't know like what happened in that time frame. I'd pull over, I would do like a bunch of push-ups, get back in the car, and like start driving again. So that's all to say. Long story short, I think that sleep is like super important. I think that most people do need like between 7 and 9 hours. There's a study that I used to cite from NASA that they said that the optimal amount of sleep for longevity is between 6.5 to 7.5 hours. I pretty vehemently like disagree with that now, and I think that like some of the growing science that's coming out of it, people like Andrew Huberman. I think I'm actually listening to Andrew Huberman. I think it's like Matt Walker. Let me check his name. But have you seen that one yet, buddy? I think yeah, I think it's one of his newest ones. Yeah, Matthew Walker.
Yeah, I'm still on the ones that he hasn't had guests on, so I'm on like eye health, and then I think smelling health, like
Okay.
yeah, so I'm on like that one. So I'm probably close to like getting to there, but like I've been just trying to grind out the old ones first.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of jumping around a little bit, but I do really like it. I would highly recommend it to folks. He talks about some cool stuff in the sleep one, about talking about like seeing if you can like coordinate your like sleep wake cycles with like sunrises, sunsets, that type of deal.
Yeah.
Like try to get as like much like sun, like indirect, like don't stare at the sun, don't be that person, but like indirect sun exposure to your eyes, like not like just through like a pane of glass, but like outside, like, you know, for a walk or whatever, when the sun is like relatively low in the sky. That'll help like jumpstart your circadian rhythm and help to make sure that you have like pretty healthy sleep hygiene as best as you can. And then also he talks about like trying to be outside also, like as like you're winding down at the end of the day and as the sun's going down. Obviously, depending on where you are, there's parts of like the globe, like northern parts of Alaska, where they'll just have like continual sun almost for parts of the year, and then like continual
like 2 hours of sunlight. That's it.
You're kind of SOL in that regard. You know, just do the best you can. But he would probably say in that regard, you just want to stick to a schedule as much as possible. So if you need 8 hours and you like to go to bed at 10, then it's in bed by 10, or like lights out by 10, like you're trying to fall asleep, like actively working on trying to fall asleep, or passively, however you want to say that, and then like up by 6 type dealio. Another thing that he does talk about is trying to have like a schedule, like a set schedule, which, as I just described, like it's been enormously beneficial for me. I tried to wrap up like all the evening activities by 8 o'clock, in bed shortly after that, and I'm up at the latest by 5. That's every morning. That's even on weekends. So it's kind of rare for me to quote unquote like sleep in. And I've always been that way. I've always been in bed early, up like really. The few years that there was an exception was college, but it would still be like in bed late, up early. So I just missed like the conversation there. But yeah, in regards to like my mental health, drastic change. I used to have like panic attacks like all the time. Just around like food allergen, food safety type stuff. It's something that like I'm still like trying to get better with, but you know, I would think about like contamination, that kind of stuff, and it would like, you know, cause that type of an attack. Since I've kind of like regulated my sleep, it's not something that like I worry about or is like as like intense if it is a worry. It's not as intense of a concern for me. So like from a mental health perspective, it's been like enormous for me. From like a recovery standpoint, it's like unbelievable. Like I'll hit a hard leg session. I'm just like, sitting around just like trashed, and I'll sleep and I'll wake up and I may be sore the next day. But like the amount of like perceived recovery that I have from that is just like almost indescribable, because I'm like at a point where by the end of the day I'm like absolutely useless. Like if I'm cooking dinner, I'll like go and stir the pot and I'll go sit down. And I'll go and stir the pot and I'll go sit down. And like my partner Laura, she'll be like, "Do you want me to just take care of this?" And I'm like, "No, I got it," because I'm like proud like that and I want to like make her a meal and all this stuff. But I wake up in the morning. She like wakes up, at 8 or 9. I'm eating my second or third breakfast. And I'm like, "Oh, I got this going and this going." Like, "Oh, like the potatoes are almost done. Like, you want me to serve you?" Like, I'm a completely different person from a recovery standpoint. So, yeah, sleep like aids me tremendously for like a sports performance standpoint. I've been blabbering a lot, buddy. I'll let you.
No, you're fine. Yeah, no, I mean, I like that. I was actually going to bring up like the sleep cycles and whatnot. Obviously, like Roman was saying, like get a set schedule, because the fact that like you want to make sure like your body's accumulating sleep and recovery. Also too, like, yeah, that's what I was telling Roman before we started recording is, also too, like make sure like if you work from home, obviously if you go into an office or go into a building, whatever you do, make sure you get that sunlight in. Don't rush to wear sunglasses like right away when you go outside in the beginning of the morning, because a lot of the times like it's so low sunlight where you're not going to be affected by like you're not going to get blinded, but don't look right into it. But yeah, every morning, if it's not, taking my dog outside or just sitting on the patio before I start my shift, since I work from home and Roman does too, the sun rises where our patio is like facing anyway. So like if for some reason the dog's already been taken out by my wife, I'll go out on the patio before I start working, and I'll do my I'm trying to learn Spanish and French, so I try to do that like before I start my shift. But like I'll do a lesson and then like look up at the sky, look up at the the landscaping in Arizona. But yeah, you want to do that, like especially if you work from home. You want to make sure you're getting that sunlight early on to make that circadian rhythm. I don't know why I said circadian rhythm. And then like at night, like Roman was saying, like maybe go for a walk or even sit outside. Like make sure like you're facing like the sun, get some sunlight in. Also too, I don't know if he mentions that on that podcast, Roman, but he does stress like at least 2 hours outside a day too. And for eye health, I just watched the eye health one, but like, I know this doesn't regard to sleep, but, you want to be outside with no sunglasses for like the 2 hours too. So try to get your eyes it helps delay like nearsightedness, which pretty much what our generation gets, runs into like quite a bit at a young age and an older age, because, we're tend to just looking at a screen all day. We're not outside looking at the actual landscapes. So you want to make sure you get outside and do that for your eye health, because not only it'll help your, that sleep cycle to make sure you're ready for awakeness or sleep. You want to make sure you're outside for about, like I said, 2 hours a day. Obviously it's a little bit harder if you're like Midwest, north part of U.S. or Northeast in the wintertime. But even with cloud coverage, like make sure you get out there as much as possible, because the sun still, the sun still goes through the clouds and you'll reap the benefits. But in general too, with sleep though too, with performance, we've mentioned before about caffeine, like on our caffeine episode, like obviously like if you do like to train at night, I try to train like early as possible before your bedtime, because the fact that you want to make sure like you don't you don't wreck yourself for sleep, because unfortunately if you what I see is sometimes when I'm at the gym at like 6 p.m. and some of these people work 9 to 5 jobs, kind of like Roman and I, they're drinking, C4, they're drinking Monster, and sometimes they're just starting to drink it at 6 p.m. So if you think about it that way, caffeine could stay in your body depending on how you digest it and what your size of your body is. I mean, it's all the way up for like 6 hours. So like say if you finish your Monster, your C4 energy drink, at like 6:30, 6:45 when you're like, almost done with your workout, obviously the workout's going to tend to take that energy from the caffeine, but still, if you go to bed by like 10 p.m., that's only like 3 hours till bedtime. So, I work out at 5 o'clock. I tend to not have caffeine at a certain time, and it helps me tremendously. When I used to have to do workouts at like late at night, like 7 or 8 p.m., and I'd go to bed before 11, using caffeine was really hard for me. My buddy the other day was telling me he does jujitsu on the side and he lifts weights. He actually like skipped his like BJJ class because he didn't think he was gonna make it, and then he decided to like, hey, I'm gonna go work out, and it was like 7:30 p.m. and he goes to bed by like 10:30, 11. He ingested some pre-workout and also too I know obviously Roman didn't mention it, but like he ingested protein and fats instead of carbohydrates. And if you eat a ton of carbohydrates before bed, it'll actually help you get sleepy because carbs. If you eat like a carb heavy dinner, you'll definitely get sleepy from it. So that could help. But he ate a bunch of fats and proteins and pretty much had a terrible night of sleep. He said he was like up like literally to like 1, 2 in the morning just staring at the wall. Also too, like with eating caffeine, a lot of the times make sure you're eating those foods before bed. That's not going to keep you up. Andrew Huberman also mentions like a lot of fatty, most of the time, a lot of fatty foods will keep you more awake. It'll tend to keep you more awake compared to carbohydrates. So like, if you eat your fats towards the end of the night, maybe that can interrupt your sleep cycle and your sleep schedule. So you don't want to do that. And also, like Roman was saying, when you get to sleep, your recovery, you're not moving, you're letting your food digest, you're letting all your muscles sleep, and you get that relaxation where you could wake up feeling refreshed. Because a lot of us have to work 5 days a week. You might work more, you might work less, but you still need to recover with work. You need to recover with sleeping. You need to recover with lifting and then eating. So those are some of the things that you can, successfully do when it comes to like getting a sleep schedule right for you. And yeah, I think the only thing is too, if you're on the night shift, I'm sorry in advance. That's got to be a rough life to work on the night shift. And I know, like, if you're watching this or listening to this, you might be a nurse, you might be a doctor, you might be a policeman, a firefighter, but still try to get as much sunlight as possible. Like if you're sleeping during the day, make sure you're still getting sunlight, like maybe before and after your sleep, and then try to, get on the same schedule so you can get the sunlight in. And I think he goes over that for night shift people. And then also too, like if you're traveling, make sure to try to, if you guys listen to like one of the first like couple episodes, it's like early on, he does go over like jet lag. So like, you don't feel jet lag when you go to another country, if you go to another region of the US, if you're in the US, but like you can also fix those things too, because when you're in a different time zone, every time I visit back home in Chicago, like right now it's 2 hours ahead where Roman's at. But like when I visited for a month, you know what? I think listening to Andrew Huberman kind of helped me because like, I still, exercise, worked. And then, I saw the sunlight, went to bed, saw the sunlight early on. And like my rhythm was like pretty much like back to it. And Roman's probably the same way. When Roman goes to Massachusetts, it's only an hour ahead. But I know Roman, I mean, it's still a different time zone. But once you start doing those things where you're like, hey, I need to go to bed before 9 p.m. Hey, I need to wake up at 5 a.m. Even if it's an hour ahead, say if I lose like maybe like an hour sleep difference, like Roman still does that when he goes back home. He goes, cool. Like I know I need to get my butt to bed, wake up, see the sunlight, do my thing, go eat breakfast, and then start working. And then at night, go see the sunlight, go back to bed. So sweet, dude. That's all I wanted to say.
Love it, buddy. That's awesome. That's all for the listeners.
Yeah. Did you want to add anything else before we end it, buddy?
No, it's really good. Yeah. Thanks
Sweet.
for.
Yeah. If you guys like this style, obviously, besides fitness like podcasts, the only other ones I listen to is like crime stuff. So I can't really relate like with the Gainz podcast. I don't want to bring like crime related podcast information, but I think we should try to, like I said, listen to Andrew Huberman. He's a neuroscientist at Stanford, and he does this for free. So a lot to do with like your head, your brain, your mental state will, help you achieve like a healthier lifestyle. So why not bring it on the Gainz podcast? Because, if you think of fitness as just, you going to the gym and work out, that's like not even half of the battle. We're talking like eating, sleeping, relationships, stress, like all that stuff is going to help you either impact you in a positive way or a negative way. So, I love this way of thinking, and I'm glad, like, I think Joe Rogan was the one who put him on. I'm glad, like, people like that get put on, even though Joe Rogan's so big. But, like, see, the thing is, if you, like, look at someone like him, that'll be, like, another stepping stone to become, like, that healthy, fit, individual that you want to become, or you're getting to that path. So, yeah. Check us out on all audio and video platforms. My mom just let me know on Android, since I don't have an Android and I'll probably never own one. She let me know that we're on like Google Podcasts too. Didn't know that we were on there, but like I said, we're on most audio and video platforms. So I think Android does a different thing with their podcast app, kind of like Apple, but we're on there, you Android listeners and viewers. So if you have an Android phone, be sure to like check it out. Obviously, we're on all the major platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, and yeah, go check us out. Like, comment, subscribe, follow, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.